All right, welcome everybody. Today's video, we find ourselves over here in Taipei and we're at a Confucius Temple. I'm kind of excited about this. This is the first time I've ever been in a Confucius Temple. Now there's a little script there on the wall and it's talking about, it has a little thing in Chinese that's talking about like the name, like the Wang Jung. I know I can't pronounce it, but it's talking about a Confucius saying that there's no shortcut to learning. And it's a high wall, and if you're gonna enter, you have to start by going into like one of the other side gates. And Confucius was a teacher. He had over 3,000 students. He was really influential in the way the Chinese think, and it's influenced a lot of the other cultures also in this region, like the Vietnamese and everybody else. So anyway, we're gonna take a look at this temple and see what all is inside of it. Now this is a gate, but you can't enter because there's no shortcuts to learning is what Confucius said. Now it also has one of those, like a saying that they say that you can enter or you can see by standing on the shoulder of your teacher. So that's part of this. Now this was a little writing written by a guy that was like a 77th direct descendant of Confucius. So we're going to go over to the side and we'll go inside here. Let's look at here. This tells you the name of it. It's the Yuanshan Station. Okay. So those who wish to learn should be let in through the Hong Gate or the Pan Gong Gate, which that's the side gate. So you have to start your education there. So let's go around and let's go into this temple. This is pretty interesting right here. This is kind of like the see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. And this goes off of what Confucius said. He says, do not watch what is improper, do not listen to what is improper, and do not speak improperly. So that is what he always said. So this is a side gate here. And we'll take a look at this here. The styling of it a little bit more when we look at the main temple building. It's the swallowtail. So what you'll see about a Confucius temple is that there won't be like a deity in the inside. It'll be his sayings and his students and other people that are like famous teachers or intellectuals. Now that is a swallowtail. It's a southern Chinese style. You can see, and it's only used in temple construction. There's a northern style also that you see in some of the other temples from like the Chiang Kai-shek era. Chiang Kai-shek brought that into Taiwan. This was the southern style that was brought in before Chiang Kai-shek came here. So this place it's really cool looking. Now it's simple in design, like the outside walls and stuff are really simple. They're not like ornate like you see a lot of the Chinese Buddhist temple and stuff like that. And they put the swallowtail up on the end. And then they'll put the other figures and everything. Now there will be some birds that we'll look at on the main hall, but that's inside here. This is the inside of that gate. Now they put a lot of these in this area. They'll have these half moon little ponds. And these are like to get a blessing to keep cool in the summertime and also to get fortune. So you have this right here in the front of this temple. You can see the fish. You can see all the turtles and everything. Yeah, they're just in here hanging out. It says do not feed them and don't release other animals in. And then there's another gate over on the other side. So let's go in and look at the main hall. You can see how this is constructed. Now they incorporate some owls and some other little symbols that mean like to be better. And they put those into some of them. We'll look at that at the main hall. And you can see the plaster work here. All right, so this is entering the gate. And it's, the architecture is unique to Confucius temples with the columns and the etched birds and everything. There's so much information, it's like, I can't absorb it all, I think. So we have this little building here, and there's little rooms on each of these ends that has like talking about chariots and how they were used and other stuff. So like this little room here talks about archery, the purpose of it, the rites, and what it meant for the culture. And then here's some with the chariots. Shi and Yu are the skills that they wanted. Yu teaches people to be reverent, while Shi helps people to be proper. So they would have the riding outfits and everything else. And the chariots were so important back in the old Chinese days that they actually, some people were buried with their chariots. Okay, so let's go in here. This is called the Yi Gate, or the pray for good luck, I think is what it is, or the gate of ceremonies. And this opens up into the main hall here. I have some people over here, they're having a good time. All right, now all around here, they have little rooms talking about the history of Confucianism, talking about his life. And then we have some bells, and you can see how this is built. And I believe they built all of this, and they didn't use iron nails. And I think this temple was originally built in like the late 1800s, and then whenever the Japanese took over the island, they moved soldiers over to this area, and they neglected it, and it fell down. And then they came back over, and they started to build it again in 1925. And there was no other Confucius temples on the island, so they brought in somebody from the mainland, and he's the one that designed it. And then they completed this in 1939. So we can see what's in here. This is the east side building, and it has the writings of Confucius, like 40 of them, and then 37 writings from other scholars that were also influential in Confucianism. Those guys are over there, so we'll come back to it here in a minute. And you can see how the architecture is of this. You can see the animals. Now, what's interesting is what sets off a Confucius temple that's different than what you'll see is right there on that like little bowed eave, you'll see those birds. Now at first glance they look like pigeons, but they're actually owls. And the reason why is the Chinese saw the pigeon as a smart animal, but they saw the owl as better. So that ties into you being better by getting educated. So they symbolize it with the owl instead of the pigeon. They also say like the pigeon, when it gets hungry, will eat its parents, and the owl does not because it's better. And there's a whole bunch of things tied into it, and you see like things around like Taiwan that'll have little owls and stuff. All right, so let's go inside of here. You can see how this is built. Now, a lot of it looks just like a normal Chinese temple, but it's just not near as ornate. And then there's not all the little figures and stuff that you see. Okay, so this is inside of the hall. And you can see it has the drums, and it has these little tablets. Now this right here was, I think by a saying by Confucius. And then I was told that these up above have to be written by like the emperor or the president or somebody like that. So this little saying here was written by Chiang Kai-shek. This one over here was written by one of the former presidents of Taiwan, and this one here is written by the current president. So they'll write them on these little tablets, 4 words, and then they send them out to all the temples. Now there's 11 of these right here. There's 6 on this side and 6 on this side. And those are like Confucius's best 11 students, plus one other name of another guy that was like a brilliant mind of Confucianism. So I guess that's what's on those. I can't read the Chinese, but that's what I was told. All right, just take a look at the roof. Yeah, there's the 4 birds that you see on the 4 cardinal directions. And it also is like a Chinese word, to be better. And then you see how it's built. And again, that's all built without the use of any nails. Yeah, this is really nice. And there's no incense, there's nobody here chanting and throwing the little wood blocks and all of that stuff. And this is the inside of that gate when we first came in. Now, right over here on the other side is a school. It's traditional that a Confucius temple has the temple and then it has a school built right next to it. And then it has this little courtyard with all the little side rooms. And it's all built the same. And then it has quite a bit of history of Confucianism and Confucius's life in these right here. So this talks about here his life. I guess they believe his dad died when he was 3, and so he grew up in poverty, and he became kind of like a merchant, and he developed a skill with administration and did all kinds of stuff. And he early on wanted to be a teacher. He's like absorbed books and would read and learn as much as he possibly could. And he always said that there's always a teacher. If you have 2 people, one will be the student and one will be the teacher. And then here's his later life. He died at age 73. His sons died, and then he had some other things, so he started editing books, and he worked himself, and then he worked himself to death, I guess. They have some stuff here talking about musical instruments and all of that. The 6 rites, or 6 arts. And this is kind of a nice bell right here. So this one is from 1893. This one here is a little bit newer. It's from 1952. And they talk about when they were made in like the first lunar month and all of that. Okay, so right here, this is the Kongshin Shrine. And it talks about the arrangement of it is pretty traditional for Chinese, where they have the little tablets for his older brothers and fathers and the 4 sages. And it's closed off. You can't go in there and walk around. You can just see it from the outside. They have these little gates here. You can still see how it's constructed, the same styling, and it has the swallowtails up on the roof. And then we got a couple more rooms over here. So we'll see here, they have one that's pretty interesting. It has some mathematics. So in here, this is the little room for Shu, which is the computation. And it talks about the early schools. Talks about the value of pi. This is pretty interesting right here. So pi equals 3.14, and in the old days, they used a number that was pretty close. They used 3, and then one of the scholars, Liu Hing, gave it a value of 3.14 154. And then later on, there was a guy in the Northern Dynasty that computed it out to about 7 decimals. That was the closest they came to pi until the 1600s. And they talk about here logarithms, geometry, some of the oldest math books, the 9 chapters of the mathematical arts, and measurements. The Chinese math was amazing for back in the day. But numbers were vital to them. They had to use it for everything. So they would figure it out for building new buildings, keeping records. Okay, so this is the last little building on the west side here. So this has 39 or 38 little tablets for his disciples. And there's not any other plaques or anything like that hung in here, just the names of them. And then right here next to the temple wall on the inside of the grounds, they have this theater. And it's a little free show. I was actually wanting to go in there and see it, and I got busy and missed the time. And the next one is at 2 o'clock, and I won't be able to stick around that long just to see what that's about. So if you're here, you can go in and see it. And then right next to it, this is the little school. Now they call this the Minglun Hall, which means school. And now it's just converted into like a little gift shop and like a calligraphy school and some other things. And then this is just the rest of the inside of this little courtyard. All right, so that's going to finish up a little walk around here at this Confucius Temple here in Taipei. This was a lot of fun. This is the first Confucius Temple I've been into, and it had a lot of stuff in English, and you could read about it, and it was pretty interesting. I learned a lot about the man's life and his influence on things in China and the other parts of the world. Very, very interesting. Worth your time to come over here. Getting to this is quite simple. You can take the metro over here, and then it's a short walk from the Red Line, and it's free, and you can come over here. And it's open until 9 o'clock. Some of the exhibits close at 5, but definitely worth your time to come over and spend a good 2 or 3 hours walking around, reading all the little stuff if you're interested. I would recommend it. I've had a good time. So anyway, if you like the video, make sure you click like and subscribe to my channel if you're new here. And leave me a comment. Tell me what you think, if you've been here or if you learned anything or if I misspoke, because it's all new to me, so I was doing my best. If I misspoke, tell me in a comment down below also. Or if you have any questions, let me know. Or if you want me to do something different, tell me that in the comment also. And subscribe if you're new here. This is what I do. I just show you things that I see and do. And if you like this kind of stuff, then definitely subscribe. And then you're notified whenever I post new content. And until next time, guys, from over here at the Confucius Temple in Taipei, remember, life is a journey. Until next time, enjoy.